in my head, this was over here, so now I have to mirror my whole presentation. All right. Yeah, can I get a tall decaf almond milk latte, a grande Earl Grey tea, and 2 strawberry frappuccinos, 1 with whip, 1 without. Let me get a bowl, brown rice, black beans, sofritas, vegetables, extra mild, some medium, and corn. Yeah, let me get a veggie delight, but I'm vegan, so no cheese, and gluten-free, so no bread either. All of those things were what things? I walked into a place, talked to a person behind the counter, I told them what I wanted, and then even my ridiculous Subway order, which there's a story about, I'll tell you soon, they gave me something, okay? Today we're going to talk about why, and why is more important than what. My name is TJ, I am an architect, I own a company called Design Happy. We do architecture, interior design, and decor, and I wrote a book. I spent a lot of time writing the book. It's all about helping homeowners have better, more rewarding remodeling experiences. I spent a lot of time writing it. I did not spend a lot of time naming it. So it's called Design Happy the Book. So today we're going to talk all about why. A couple different exercises that we're going to go over. The book is written for homeowners to help them go through a self-guided process. Today we're going to look at it from our perspective, and we're going to focus on the first chapter, which is all about why. That way we can guide homeowners through a more fulfilling process. So thank you all very much. I very much appreciate your time and attendance. And let's get into it. Raise your hand if you work with clients. Right? All of us, right? So, let me ask you a question. Just think to yourself, what percentage of projects do you think end up, at the very end after it's built, being exactly what the client asked for at the very, very beginning? Just come up with a number in your head. All right, you got a number? Here's some data. The gray line on top, that's total number of projects. This is over the last 5 years. The blue number on the bottom, that's the projects that were the same as where they started. If you do that math, it's 4.62% over the last 5 years. Anybody surprised that the number is that low? The answer should be yes, because this is fake. I made that up. I don't even know where I would go find this information. I just picked lines that look good. I'm a big fan of fake information, which you are going to find out in the rest of this presentation. I read something somewhere that says when you're doing public speaking, you should try really hard at the beginning of the presentation to build some credibility with the audience. So I figured lying to you was a good way to do that. The point I'm trying to get to here with my fake information, though, is, in my opinion anyway, there are very few projects that end up, when it's all said and done, being exactly what the client asked for at the very beginning. There's some exploration that happens. There's an iterative design process that happens. And if we can help people get to the end much earlier, they'll have better experiences, we'll have better experiences, and everything will go a lot smoother. I'm going to give you a hypothetical what example. Hypothetical is a nice way to say fake. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you my Subway story. I had one of those ridiculously busy days where you're just like 6 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, back to back to back. So I was running around the city. I had 10 minutes between meetings. I hadn't eaten anything. There was a Subway across the street. I have a lot of food allergies. Subway is a really difficult place for me to eat, but it was the only thing that was there. So I ran in the door. There's a dude behind the counter. I ran up to the counter, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I can't order anything here. So I was like, let me get a veggie delight, but no cheese, and actually I have a gluten allergy, so no bread either. And he looked at me, very patient, very nice, but you know when you're talking to a dog and and you're looking down at the dog, and you're talking to it, and the dog looks up at you, and it's really, the dog is trying to understand what you're saying, and it just turns its head a little bit. I ran into Subway. I told this guy that I wanted a sandwich with no bread, and he looked at me, and he just turned his head, and he didn't say it, but I looked in his eyes, and he was thinking, this is the dumbest person that's ever walked into this Subway before, and I can't wait for him to leave so I can tell this story to every single person that I work with. But he didn't say that. What he did say, very politely, was, it sounds like you want to order a salad. I did not know that Subway made salads. So in my head, it was appropriate for me to order a sandwich with no bread. And it was a straightforward enough what that he was able to say, it sounds like you want a salad. Okay? So I'm going to give you a what example here. You run a lead, go to the house, the client says, my kitchen's too small, I want to build an addition. I went to the yard with my tape measure, and I know I want an 18 by 18 addition. I want some windows, and I want access to the yard, right? That's a what. However, you don't order remodeling like you order a sandwich, right? Hopefully the answer is no, you don't do that. We're not doing anybody a service by writing down their order and then doing it. It is far too complicated to order remodeling the way you order a sandwich. Here's one example why, right? We walk into a house, the homeowner says 18 by 18 addition with some windows and access to the yard. Let's only talk about the foundation. Are we building it on piers? If we're doing it on piers, are they wrapped or not? If they're wrapped, is it water PVC? Is the underside of the addition protected or open? If it's protected, what are we protecting it with? Lattice? Is that water PVC? Are we doing a crawl space? Is it CMU or poured? Vented or unvented? Conditioned or unconditioned? What's the floor of the crawl space? If the CMU, is it parged? If it's poured, how are we doing the forms? Board forms, standard forms, which side faces out, brick or smooth? Are we going to do a stone water table? What do you think the chances are that when someone says they want an 18 by 18 addition with some windows and access to the yard, that we haven't even built the floor yet, and these are just some of the things that need to be considered? My contention is that the answer is almost zero, right? Maybe someone's built an addition before and they know what to ask for or what to say. But a very, very large majority of the people that we work with don't really understand. They find a solution in their head that feels right to them, and they tell us what that is. But we can't take their order like we're ordering a sandwich. All right? I showed you a fake chart. I gave you a fake hypothetical example. Now I'm going to show you a fake house. We've all been in this house, make up a number, 100 times. Center hall, brick colonial, there's a garage on the left. There's an old sleeping porch that got turned into a sunroom on the right. On the left side over here is the kitchen. Some kitchen windows, there's a little globe light by the door, there's a couple steps down to a patio, right? So when someone says 18 by 18 addition with some windows and access to the yard, here's what that could look like. That's vinyl siding, that's piers, there's some gravel underneath. The piers aren't wrapped. There's a couple windows that we had left over from a previous project. There's that same globe light, we're reusing that, save a couple bucks. New door, that's a low slope roof there. There's one piece of trim, we can hang a gutter off of that. That's some nice J channels for the vinyl, right? When someone says 18 by 18 addition with some windows and access to the yard, do you think that's what they have in their head? I don't. Right, but that meets their what? If we only talk about what, this is a reasonable solution. Here's another one. That's an 18 by 18 addition with some windows and access to the yard. That's a very different project. In timeline, in cost, and complexity, right? We have a crawl space, there's a water table. Looks like we sourced some brick to blend with the existing. We got big double hung windows, nice wide slider, new coach lights. Got some PVC trim. You can't really see it here, but there's metal roof. The trim package is chef's kiss. There's a little circle window there. That makes me think there's a vaulted ceiling on the inside. This is the same what, okay? These two things are the same, right? My kids' elementary school had an addition put on it a few years ago. This looks like the temporary things they put outside, right? No one wants to live in this. My kids didn't even want to go to school in it. Right? So if we only talk about what, we are setting ourselves up and the clients up for disappointment. So what I'm saying is what is irrelevant, it does not matter at all if we don't first know why they called to begin with. Because what will happen, inevitably, one way or another, is this person will get disappointed, right? This fake person in this fake house, this fake example will get fake or real disappointed. Because if they say, I want an 18 by 18 addition with some windows and access to the yard, and you say, cool, we'll start in 2 months, they don't have this in their head. They have something closer to this in their head. You don't talk about money or design or whatever, and they get this, they're going to be pissed. And they're not going to refer you, you're going to get a bad review, you're going to, all kinds of bad stuff are going to happen. You're going to spend more time undoing what you did here than it would have to just have the conversation about why they want to do it in the first place. You can also set yourself up for disappointment here. You don't talk about money from the beginning, and they have this budget, right? Everybody wants to spend 100 grand, right? You're not building that for 100. You might not build that for 100 grand, depending on what your setup is. But if you don't have a real conversation about money early on, and you just start designing stuff, and then they're like, what does it cost? And you're like, oh, let me price it for you. And then you're like, oh, that's 500 grand. And they're like, well, I only want to spend 100. Why didn't you show me something for that? No, only bad things can happen, okay? So again, what is irrelevant if we don't first know why? So I hope we're on the same page with that now. So how do we get to why? The first chapter in the book is all about it. It's about the 5 whys exercise. I do not invent the 5 why exercise. It's been around for a long time. I'm applying it to remodeling. The gist of it is that if you ask why, 5 times you'll get to the core of whatever the problem is. So we can do a real version of this for the fake person. So they say, I want an addition. 18 by 18 addition with some windows and access to the yard. You say, cool. Why do you want an addition? They say, my kitchen's too small and closed in. Say, cool. Why is it too small? My counters are cluttered and people can't gather in there. All right? A lot of people might stop here if they even ask. Right? We're not at the core of the issue yet, though. Nobody calls you because their counters are cluttered. So we have to keep going. Why is that important? I want it to look pretty, and I want people to talk to you while I'm cooking. Why do you want it to look pretty? You can actually ask a why on either one of these, but we'll go with the pretty one. Why do you want it to look pretty? Because I'm embarrassed to show people my kitchen, so I never have anyone in there. Last why. Why do you want people to come in the kitchen? When people come over, I feel isolated. I feel like the party is happening everywhere but where I am, and I feel left out. Even day to day, it's a lonely place to be. There are 2 words in all of those questions and answers that are more important than all the others. Those are embarrassed and lonely. If I go back, when we started up at why number 1, the problem that we were trying to solve was how do we build an 18 by 18 addition with some windows and access to the yard in the budget and timeline that the client wanted to do it in. By the time we got to the end of the 5 why exercise, we're solving a completely different problem. These people feel embarrassed and they feel lonely. Maybe that addition is the right solution, but my contention is more often than not, it's not the right solution. And if you can solve the emotion problem instead of the what they tell you they want to do problem, you're providing exceptional value very early in the process. More often than not, they'll hire you and the design process will go a lot faster. So embarrassed and lonely are the 2 most important words in there. The way that I know when I get to the real core of the issue, a lot of times, is people start to cry. And you say, TJ, that's ridiculous. Why do people cry? I don't want, I'm not looking for a meltdown at the breakfast table. But if they get a little misty, I know there's something meaty here that we can work with, and there's a problem that we're solving, right? So they cry, you're doing it right. Okay? You might be wondering, hey, TJ, what's the success rate of Y? Have a graph. I like pop culture references. I have copies of the book here if anybody wants it. The book is filled with pop culture references. They're fun, they're easy to relate to. So I want to tell you what the success rate of Y is. The way I'm going to do that is with this graph about opportunities and wins. For a pop culture reference, I'm defining wins as Billboard #1 hit. That's William Hung. Remember him from American Idol? No opportunities, no hits, right? I mean, right. So he's actually doing super well. I looked him up. He's a motivational speaker in LA. He's doing just fine. That's Los Del Rio. Macarena. Low opportunities. They only had one chance at it, but they freaking nailed it. Macarena is the #1 all-time one-hit wonder. High opportunities, low wins on the bottom right. That's Bob Dylan. You say, TJ, that's ridiculous. He has all kinds of hits. He has 0 #1 hits, right? So high opportunity, low wins. So who's on the top right? That's Taylor Swift. Everything she does is a hit. Albums, singles, movies, tours. So what I'm telling you is that if you do the 5Y exercise, it'll be you and Taylor Swift in the top right quadrant of my page.
I think Travis has that.
Okay? So let's say you're on board, but you're like, TJ, I don't want to say Y 5 times in a row. You sound like a weirdo. And I say, okay, that's fair. Here are some other ways to do it. You can say, tell me more about that. And if they say, I want my kitchen to look pretty, you say, tell me more about that. Is that right? There's a song. Is that right? What? I don't know if anyone knows that song. It's Chris Brown, so I don't support the song anymore. Really? That's not even, I'm just making a sound. Repeat the last word they said, but as a question. I want my kitchen to look pretty. Pretty? Literally just don't talk. If anyone's gone through sales training, you will certainly have heard ask for the sale and then just shut it. Just don't say anything. The other person will fill the void. So they say, I want my kitchen to look pretty. Just stare at them and wait. They will say more. Okay? Here's another hypothetical example. Again, hypothetical is a nice way for me to say fake. But this time it's during the design process, okay? How do we get to Y? Why do we get to Y during the design process? Let's say we go to the tile showroom, right? We go with the client, we're picking out backsplash tile. The tile rep is there. Tile rep brings this sample out. Client says, ew! Oh my God, I hate it. Tile rep goes in the back, brings another one out, ew! Do this 3 or 4 times. Everyone gets frustrated. You've accomplished nothing. The meeting's over. Here's another pop culture reference. When I say ill, I don't know if you've seen Schitt's Creek. In my head, I'm saying ill the same way Alexis is, and if that means nothing to you, here's 13 seconds of Alexis saying ill.
Oh my God, really? Oh my God.
Ew. Ew, ew, I hate ew, 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 ew. Ew. Ew, David. Ew. Ew, ew. Oh, ew. Ew. Ew.
So now, when I say ill, just imagine it's her. So let's do it again, but let's do it a better way. Every single design meeting I have, 100% of them without fail, I start by saying, there will be things that you love and there will be things that you hate. Both of those things are okay, as long as you tell me why. That's really the only thing that's important. Tell me why you feel the way you feel, and that will inform every single thing that happens after this. I say it so often that in, I don't know, 2, 3, by the 4th meeting at the latest, client says, I know, I'll tell you why. And as soon as they parrot it back to me, I know we're on the same page and we're good. Okay, so, hey, client, there'll be things that you like and there'll be things that you hate. Both of those things are fine as long as you tell me why. How's this one? Ew, my God, I hate it. I hate it so much. I never want to see it again. That's cool. Why? Everybody has that. It's so plain. So Tyler goes back and brings something else. Ew! Okay. Why? Way too much. We overcorrected. We went too far. Okay, Tyler goes back and brings up this one. We got to a so it's better than ew. Okay, it's still not the one. That's cool. What's wrong with this one? It's just a little too plain. I need to just turn it up just a tiny bit. Then we land on this one, and the client loves it, and we're all happier for it. Now this is where you say, well, what if they can't articulate why? Right? We've all talked to people. You say, why do you feel that way? And they say, I just don't like it. Well, that's not a productive way to have a conversation. So here's the secret that I've learned to get anybody to answer why, even if they can't say it. That's the secret. Would it be better if? Now, you have to do a little bit more work. But this will get them to answer the why question. So if we go back, right? They say, ew, hate it. Why do you feel that way? I don't know. I just hate it. I don't ever want to see it again. I don't even know why you showed me. Okay. Well, I know that's pretty common, right? A lot of people have it. So let me go the other way. Would it be better if we showed you something with more color and more pattern? Sure. Why not? Ew, hate it. All right. Well, in my head, I'm like, all right, maybe we got a bit too far. Would it be better if we showed you something that wasn't quite as colorful? Maybe. Right? Oh, all right. Well, maybe this one's good. Maybe we're getting closer to the right direction. Okay, well, would it be better if we turned it back up just a notch? Right? And then we land on it. So would it be better if we'll save you a lot of time and a lot of heartburn? Talking too fast. We're getting close to the end here. I want to tell you a magic trick. Once you adopt the 5 why exercise, this is a magic trick to do in someone's house. You don't do the 5 why exercise right away. You do it toward the end. Before you do the 5 why exercise, you need to build some context for yourself. The way I do that is I take a tour, right? Everybody wants to show you their house, the things they like, the things they don't like. The way I like to build context is to ask throwaway questions. To the client, they seem meaningless, right? And the inflection in my voice makes them seem meaningless. How often do you use the dining room? They say, well, I don't know, 3 times a year maybe. Okay, just file that little nugget away. Oh, I saw the plastic on the couch in the living room. You all use the living room much? Oh, no, we never go in there. Okay. Is there anything that you're missing on the first floor here that you've been thinking about for a while? Oh, yeah, it'd be great if we had a powder room. But, we're not talking about that now. Okay, cool. So I build the context. I ask all these little throwaway questions that they think are nothing. To me, they're the most important part. Because I know when we get to the 5 why exercise, I'm going to understand why they picked up the phone to call me to begin with. But now I have the context for the rest of the house. And what that tells me is where there is opportunity and where there's not opportunity. Some people need an 18 by 18 addition with someone as an access to the yard. Most people don't. So the magic trick is this. You're a really good listener. You build some context. You do the 5 why exercise. They get a little misty. You hand them a tissue. And then you say, hey, would it be okay if I threw something out at you? Everybody says yes. It's just like, would it be better if? Would it be okay if I threw a crazy idea out at you? Yeah, I love crazy ideas. Okay, great. That's when I normally stand up from the breakfast table, and I call it the architect show. You can do whatever you want, but I stick my arms out like this, and I do jazz hands. This is the architect show. And I say, hey, before we were walking around, you said you didn't really use the dining room that much, and you never use the living room. I mean, the plastics on the couch. So what if we took this wall out here and the kitchen got bigger, like way bigger that way? Then you wouldn't feel so alone in here. It wouldn't be quite a lonely place to be. Oh, right? As soon as they start to, their voice, the inflection in their voice changes, their body language changes, they start to lean in a little bit. And they come with me. And then you walk around. I do this a lot. I know I look like a weirdo here, but trust me, when I'm in someone's house and I'm doing this, they love it. Hey, you kind of mentioned a powder room. We don't need all of this dining room space for the kitchen. We can tuck a powder room here. It opens right to the center hall. We can tuck a pantry in right behind the powder room. And that will get rid of all the clutter that you're dealing with. And then we move the dining room across the hall for the 3 or 4 times a year that you need it. Oh my God, we can do that? Yeah, we can do that. So the magic trick is giving somebody something they didn't even know they wanted before they ask for it. And when you can do that, you're going to win more than your fair share of projects. I'm going to give you some homework. You can do the 5 why exercise for anything. We're talking about helping people in their home with it, but you can do it for your own business too. When you do this, you're going to have more leads than you have now. I hope, fingers crossed. So the homework is do the 5 why exercise for yourself. I've always known that I wanted to do residential design forever, but I never really understood why until I did the 5 why exercise for myself. I used to think I wanted to do it because I like cool houses, right? I do like cool houses. And I was like, well, why do I like cool houses? So I went through this whole thing, and I'm not going to bore you with the details of my life, but it was very meaningful for me to do the 5 why exercise so that I really understand why I get out of bed every day to talk to people about their houses. So I talked way, way too fast. This is the last slide. This is a good time to take your phone out if you want to. That QR code will bring you to my website. That's my email address. It's TJ Design Happy. I'm going to give you a 90-second plug about what I do. So Design Happy, like I mentioned at the beginning, is a full-service architecture and design firm. We kind of have 2 paths that people go down. Path 1 is a homeowner calls us, right, and we design it and we find a builder. I'm not a big fan of the design big build model. So I'm working to build relationships with contractors to get them in as early as possible so homeowners can have as close to a design build experience as is possible. Client's house, client's money, client's process. Some people just don't want that. I'm working with a guy right now in Garrett Park who likes the friction between architects and contractors. So that's fine. That's cool for him. His money, his house, his process, cool. I try to talk people out of it. So one path is people call me on the phone. I try to get a contractor in at the beginning. That way, it's not true design build, but it's pretty close. Path 2 is I work with builders. And there's kind of 2 ways that happens. One is for whatever reason, builders want to outsource some of the design from their in-house team. There's lots of reasons that they might want to do that. So call me and we can make that work. Design Happy will work within whatever the builder's process is. The other way we work with builders is they're not quite a design build firm yet. They don't have designers on staff, but they like the process and they want to market themselves that way. So that's the elevator pitch for that. I have books over here. I normally sell the books for $20. If you go on the website, you'll see that they're $20. Today, they're below the price of $0. That doesn't mean they're free. $0 doesn't mean they're free. If you want a book, I'd be very happy for you to take one, leave your business card, connect with me on LinkedIn, and that's what I ask in return, because I'm sure you saw the cameras. I'm taking a video of this today. I'm going to post it. I'll tag you in the video. You can say nice things. That's the cost of the book. So if you want one, please take it. If those go, I have more. If there's any questions, we finished early. I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, you all can get to the bathroom before everyone else. Not yet. Now, it depends on what you mean by service. But
I am ITC, but not paper contract. Like I say, I work with outside designer, outside architect. I have the framing stuff, the tile stuff, you name it. And I do church property. But like I say, that's exactly how I do. Like
Mhm.
The design build, I'll have them after my first meeting. I will send them to you or whichever architect. They sit down and kind of based on the numbers we talked about and start that way.
Yeah, so in terms of like full service design, not yet. There's lots of ways that people need help. So if it's consulting, if it's what I can't do is drive to Richmond once a week for a meeting with a designer, and they're not going to drive up to my office to make selections, right? So that's the tricky part. All right, well, that's it. I'm very appreciative of your time. Thank you all very much. Please take a vote.